Hey folks, Dr. D here. So today we're going to be replacing the rear wiper and the rear latch release along with the license plate holders on a 97 Jeep Cherokee. So we'll take it step by step. First we're going to do the wiper mount and the wiper motor and then the lift gate, and I'll try to show you how things go along the way. Obviously I've taken off the trim panel. There are just a number of clips over to the side here. There's a clip, there's a screw here, screw here, screw here, and screw here, and another clip. And then there are a couple of clips throughout here. Honestly, you know, if you just get a plastic pry bar, you can just kind of gently take it off. So what we're going to be doing first is we're going to be reinstalling the wiper motor. So that's going to go, that's where the arm is going to go, right through there. These are the two bolts that it's going to attach to. This is the fluid hose. So we'll get that all tied in here first, and then we'll come back. Oh, and obviously here's the power line that has to get clipped in. And then we'll come back and we'll do a lift gate lock mechanism, and then we'll be done. So this is the wiper motor assembly, and obviously this is what's going to go back up inside of the back door there. This is all in good shape. Everything is behaving itself and looks happy. So really all that's going to be involved is this piece here is going to have to go through that little hole, and then we're going to fasten it in these two holes here. So I'll pause and set this up and we'll get started. All right folks, Dr. D here, and I'm back. So I have the wiper motor installed, and just I have the bolts here hand tightened. They are, it's a 10 millimeter, and we're just gonna tighten that up. And once we have that all set, then we can move around to what's next. So just make sure this is seated properly, and it is, and then we'll just tighten these in. All right, that's nice and tight. Looks like it's seated in there pretty good. Perfect. All right, so now let's reconnect our wire here. Let me turn this up a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at. All right, so we have these two guys here. They just, it's just gonna snap right in place. Okay, that's in place. So now we have the door closed. The wiper motor is installed on the inside and has power. So now what we have to do is we have to, there's a little plastic bit here. I just did some trim paint on it to make it look a little bit nicer. There's a small little hose attachment on the rear side here. That's going to go through this little hole right here. So we're just going to slide that over, jockey it in. Okay, and we're back. That's all seated on there nicely. There's a small lip I just had to get over. There is a, when I was removing it, there's a small nut. Or it's not a very small nut actually. It is a 7/8, which is rather large. That's just going to slide over there. That's going to lock this mechanism in place. So we're just going to hand tighten it to begin with, and then we'll tighten it. I want to make this too tight because this is just old plastic and I don't want to crack it, but I also don't want it to be rattling around in there. So. All right, look at that. All right folks, and we're back. So here we are. This is our lift gate hole. This is our lift gate. And what it's going to do is it's just going to slide in there. You do have to jockey it around a little bit. Once we get it in, I'll show you how to install it and re-hook it up. All right, folks, before I install it, I want to show you just a little trick. If you notice, when I pull up the handle, it pushes down right here. And so when you unlock it, what's going to happen is this actually slides over. So when the door is locked, there's no action, right? When it's unlocked, there's action, and you open up the back door. So when you're installing this, it's a lot easier if you have it in a locked position, so that this area here is a little bit shorter and you can kind of jiggle it in. So just a tip, as I'm installing this, I have this in the locked position. Okay folks, and after that little trick that I showed you of putting the mechanism in the locked position, I slid this in, and we're going to go in. There's only one nut that actually secures this, so we're going to go in there, we'll tighten that up, and then there's a bit of hardware that we need to attach, which will attach this mechanism to the actual release. Okay, so here we are here. Here is our trunk release installed. Right here is that little screw that I was talking about. You can't really see it because of the way I have the mechanism that locks it. I have it locked. So I actually want to slide this over so I can get a little more space. Just gonna slide it over. That way unlocks it. That's to get it in. Pushing it over. It's locked, and that's what we're gonna do to get it into place. All right, so now I'm gonna hand tighten. It's a 10 millimeter, and it looks like this. It's a nut with a fairly large washer. Okay, so we have that. I'm not sure if you can see it, but right here, that's our guy. So I'm using a 10 millimeter deep socket to get in here. Okay, so now this guy here is all nice and tight. So now, as I was mentioning, so right here, if you notice, there is this little bar. And what you'll see is when you pick this up and move it, when you move it towards the camera, that's what actually activates the latch mechanism down here. Such that when you pull up on the latch, this lever here is depressed, which pushes down here, which, because there's a little pivot here, pushes this end up. So that's going to pull this piece. This piece here is going to get pulled up when I pull the latch handle. So what I need to do is I need to secure this bit into this little piece here. And so you're just going to slide in there and clip in. Now, what I have to do is, though, I have to make sure that where I clip it is correct, such that when I pull the lift handle up, I'm far enough down that this thing actually unlocks. So it's roughly around there. I don't think there's an exact science here, and if I get this wrong, then I can always just reinstall it. So I'm gonna pop this in place. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just pushing this thing into this little holder here. So you can see what I did here. I just used a pair of needle nose and I just pinch this in place. So let me remove the needle nose and I'll lift up the hitch gate, the lift gate handle, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in terms of this mechanism. See how that's going to lift that up? Right, the lifting of that up is what actually unlocks this mechanism here. So let us close the door and convince ourselves that I can actually open the lift gate with the setup that I have, and then we will start with the rest of the stuff. There's our new lift gate handle. Rear door is decidedly closed. So when we pull up, it's going to release, and it works. So what we're going to do now is we'll be putting in the license plate holder brackets back on the outside. So we're just going to pop our mounting brackets in, little holes here. Just going to press them in and make sure they stick. Look at that. There's one. All right, folks, we're back on the outside. So what I have here, there's a little bulb that's going to go into, there's a piece of trim that's going to run across here where these holes are, and it's going to illuminate the license plate when the lights are on. So we're going to reinstall this. So the way that works is, obviously there's an attachment here and on the inside. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to take this guy, and we're going to slide it right in here. Get you through that hole, feed this through, and then there's a rubber grommet here that's going to sink itself in. We'll seat that a little bit better when we actually get this attached. So I'm going to go back under, and it's going to go right in there. Right, so it just sort of slides in. You hook that up, click it in. There it is, it's attached, perfect. So, okay, there you go. I'm just gonna leave this hanging for now. Oh, one other thing, I did replace the original incandescent with this LED. I'll link it in the comments at the bottom. We'll see how that works. All right, folks, and we're back. So now what we're going to be working on is reinstalling the piece of trim. It's going to go across here. It's going to hold the license plate light. All right, folks, so we're back. This is that backing trim piece I was saying. That's going to go right here. First thing I need to do is just slide this light through here. Just do it a little gingerly to keep the wire from causing trouble. And then this is just going to seat right over here. And I will start with by just hand tightening some of these screws, and then we'll put them in. All right, line it up. Perfect. Okay, there's one. Okay, looks like we're so we have that installed. So the next step, there's obviously a mounting piece over here that makes it look nice. The light is going to be fed into here. There's a little clear plastic piece which is going to go here. All right, folks, so this is the license plate light holder. There's little ears. Not sure if you can see that. Little ears on this. They're just going to slide in there, and it sort of seats itself like so. Turn it, lock it a little bit if you want. Perfect. Okay, so there it is in there. It's great. And these wires just run along this little channel. I'm just going to pop in these little clips here. Okay, so I had to reuse the old hardware because that's what I had. So we'll get these in place. Okay, folks, this is a new piece I picked up off of Amazon. Okay, so I have it resting on there. The only thing left to do is to put these 4 screws in to secure it. They just go up underneath. I don't see why you'd want to watch that. Okay, and the lift gate, not the lift gate, the light holder thing, whatever this thing is called, is installed. And it's all secure. 4 bolts are in. Take this off and look at that. Looks pretty slick. Okay, folks, and we're back. All that's left, well, not all that's left, but one of the things that's left is to reinstall our rear wiper. So as I mentioned, here's the fluid hose that's going to go on this little guy right here. This thing just slides over here. So we know they're off, so I want it to sit when it's down, roughly around here. Let's make sure I'm in the right spot. Yep, perfect. So I'm going to slide that in. Okay, I think that's probably tight enough. We will reinstall our little hose here. There we go. And then this little guy is just going to snap down over the top. I'm wondering now if this guy actually goes around here. Let's see. Do you go around? Yeah, you do. All right, this is going to go around, I guess. I forgot how I had it on there, but this looks like this might be a better setup. All right, so we have our wiper. We have our license plate light holder. We have our liftgate handle. All right, folks. Well, thanks again for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. See you next time. Take care, folks.